okay. Alright, so I wanted to take time to talk about Spider-Man 2. I just finished this game last night, and let's talk about it. Say hello to that kitty down there. Can't really see her. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Please leave a comment and stick around to the end of the video. Thank you.
Say goodbye.
But yeah, so overall, this game took the first Spider-Man
Going to lose you.
and like multiplied it
I will
By
never let you
2
go.
times. It's like Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man times 2, I guess. And you may think that that's like a good thing, but I feel like the sub-menus and the RPG elements and the weapon modification, like micro spider bots, along with like the flying mechanic and implementing the trick mechanic, and then doing things like all of his specials. So L1 plus 4 face buttons, R1 plus 4 face buttons. Like, I think that you know, it's utilizing every single button on the entire controller plus every button on the controller while holding 1 button and 2 buttons. So there's 3. So there's 4 face buttons times that by 3. So yeah, 4, 8, 16. Like, there is, well,
That's one way to put it, yeah.
there's a lot of options to be doing damage and to be doing maneuvering and to be doing
I've been there in a shot.
leveling up and to be doing sub-menu things and to be buying costumes.
Nice.
And
I am so
it just felt to me
seriously.
Nice.
overall that I would prefer to play the first Spider-Man again.
You made it.
I do enjoy the story in this game.
I want to talk to him.
I think that they bit off a little more than they could probably handle
Computational.
by trying to tackle so many subplots within this game, because it seems like each character, Miles, Peter, Craven, Harry, the symbiote,
Gotta protect the hive.
am I forgetting somebody? Mary Jane? Did I say that? I don't know. But they're all going through their own things, and then they were trying to like add it in to each other and focus on the web of dynamics between each character and their relationships and coping with the things that happened in the past and trying to move towards the future. And it just got a little bit overwhelming, and I think that kind of compressing it and dialing it in and making it more concise and less
Thank you for making this
all over the place would overall have helped the linearity of the story.
best day ever.
So I think that they did, you know, Spider-Man 2X
Enjoy
like
Homecoming.
2 times the first one, where it was like, maybe that's not such a good thing. I do want to say that this game is ridiculously polished. Like, ridiculously polished, and there wasn't very many glitches that I encountered. I encountered like one thing where I kind of got stuck in like an environment,
Sweet state of the art.
and then that was pretty much it. It's polished and it's beautiful,
Okay.
and the web swinging is really amazing, and then the web like wings that you have where you like glide, super awesome. You can use it if you like it, you can not use it. I kind of like did a little balance where I would shoot up real high, use the spider jump, then do the thing with the web, and then do like a little coasting, and then drop down really far and then coast a little bit, and then do like the low swinging throughout the city, and it just felt really rewarding. And then implementing like the tricks from Miles Morales, which I wish they would have done in the first Spider-Man, like that made it so engaging to traverse. So that traversal and that city experience was really, really well done. Very well done. I wish that some of the side missions got scrapped and there was more time as playing Venom. Like, I wish there was like maybe 2 missions instead of the one that you did where you were Venom. Like, not as Harry's Venom, not as Spider-Man's Venom, but like, or Peter's Venom, but like when there was some stuff where it's like you're playing and you're just doing like mini games. Like, they go to the fair and you're like shooting basketballs or shooting the balloon things with the, it's like, I don't need to do that in this game. And I'm maybe it's a hot take, maybe like I don't need to shoot basketballs in the gym. I don't need to go to a museum in this video game and read about the history of jazz music. Like, I want to play Spider-Man to play Spider-Man, and that stuff wasn't designated to side content. So like, that wasn't, the things that I just referenced now were not side missions. That was part of the game that you had to play in order to beat it. And then like doing graffiti, like a side mission where you do graffiti, riding bicycles twice, shooting like bees with a digitized gun. The one thing that I do like was there was side quests where you would do the science things, and then there were like little puzzles like that. Like, I thought that was cool because that was, for the most part, delegated to like a side mission where you would go and then kind of help out the Aunt May Foundation, where you would do some science, like a mini game to kind of destroy the thing, and it was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. It didn't take too long, didn't detract from the game in any capacity. It's just there is some things in this game where I felt like I would rather have seen them trim that fat off, trim that stuff that wasn't completely necessary, trim the side missions where you're not like Spider-Man and you're not actually being like Spider-Man, and traded it for more action, combat-based, traversal-based experiences in the main mission, where it's like, that is the core of this gameplay that is polished and beautiful. So the combat is amazing, the combat is beautiful, and the traversal is amazing, and the traversal is beautiful. And it's like some of those side missions where you're like using the glider and you have to like follow the flying robot, like that stuff, more of that traversal stuff, more of those chasing sequences while you're Spider-Man, more of the get to one place to another, or like more of those missions, like another type of the Mysterio missions where you're just doing full-on combat, like, and make that part of the main story where you're going through and you're doing more of those what were those hunter dens. But like, you know, maybe it was like, for me personally, when the symbiotes kind of took over in that game, I didn't really enjoy it. Like, I thought it was too alien, and I thought it was too over the top and too, like,
Don't worry, I'll find the rest of those items.
just too much. I didn't feel that the story at that point resonated with me, and that's a whole nother thing where the relatability of the characters, like, I feel like this may be a hot take, but I feel like they did Peter Parker dirty in this game, where they made him like a crying, like, they disrespected him. Like, he is the original Spider-Man. Like, he's not some guy who can't handle it, or it's like this dude, they just made him a baby. Like, there's multiple times where it's like he's breaking down. It's like, yeah, that's okay, but like, I feel like they just made him not capable of handling the things in the game, and then he like finally just, well, I'm just not going to be Spider-Man anymore. And I don't think that I agree with that decision. And it's like, that's, you know, that's cool that I don't agree, but it's like, so if there's a Spider-Man 3, I'm probably not gonna play it. But some of the things, there was like a Mary Jane sequence later on in the game where she had like a gun and she was able to kind of go through there, and it felt a little bit like Resident Evil, or like Control, I guess, where it was like just this blaster you go through, and that was like a fun experience, and I really actually enjoyed that experience. where they all kind of teamed up together to solve the problem. I really did enjoy that, and I thought that that was a well implemented thing, so I would not have liked to see them scrap that. I think that that was nice, and it was only about four minutes, so it was like, that's cool. But like some of the other content early on, it's like you can trim some of this stuff out, add in more Venom sequence where you are playing as Venom, full on Venom, and then
I'm Spider-Man. I can handle everything myself.
the story
Wish me luck though.
beats were, I don't know how to explain it. It's like some of the people that were in there
Sure this is safe?
weren't bad guys anymore. So it's like you took the first bad guy from the first movie, and then now he was a partner and somebody that you teamed up with.
Good looking out.
And it's like I see this a lot in modern video games, where it's like these, actually modern content in general, movies and stuff too, where it's like these bad guys aren't bad guys anymore. It's like they have to be like relatable, and you have to like understand. You can't just be bad to be bad. Where it's like, I guess Venom technically in this game didn't really have, he was just kind of bad, which is funny because Venom is actually technically an anti-hero. So they made him a villain when normally he's just basically an anti-hero, like a selfish asshole who just does whatever benefits himself. Where like they made him a straight up villain where he's trying to take over the entire world. So I don't even know if that is like comic book accurate or if they just kind of like toss that aside. I am glad that Kraven got like offed, because that dude was a complete psycho in this game. Like a complete psycho. Like I don't know. He was just so frustrating, and he's always one step ahead. Always one step ahead. This dude somehow knew everything, had a plan for everything, got boom, then blew up there, and oh yeah, and then he's just in a cage, now they're all locked up, and then somehow they made him like way overpowered. And it's like, that dude was frustrating. Like I genuinely haven't been in a while where it's like I just want to off this dude in this video game. Like this guy, I'm so tired of him, I'm so sick of him. And it like I do say it was rewarding to fight him. The multiple health bar, multiple phases trope that I see over and over in video games is really starting to like showcase itself to me, where I'm like, dude, why do I have to fight this guy 5 times? Like, I think I may be the only one who thinks this way. I feel like when I watch people's reviews and stuff, the boss fights were epic, and it's like, yeah, but like I would rather have another boss fight with somebody else than just fight this dude 5 times. Like, especially like in a row, where it's like you fight him, and then he just gets his health all the way back, and now he has like a defensive armor on him, and then it's like you gotta break down the armor and fight him again, and then you gotta fight him again after that. It's like, wow. Like, and even some of the flame missions, like I enjoyed that. They could have done more of that, made that more of like an actual part of the story, where the cultists, like, so took out some of the little side quests that you do where you're riding a bicycle and things, and had more of like an arena style where you show up and you get, you know, you fight these cultists, because it's more based on the fighting aspect and the traversal aspect than wandering and doing missions that have nothing to do with being Spider-Man, or showcasing, has nothing to do with showcasing the gameplay, the world that you created, and the fighting that you created, and the traversal that you created. So I guess that's what I just keep going back to, where it just seems trade some of that stuff for some of the side stuff that was more action oriented, and kind of eliminate some of this stuff. And I think that people overall were saying that this game was too short for their tastes, and I disagree completely. I feel like it was the perfect length. I do think that the story kind of fell apart towards the end there, just simply because it didn't vibe with me. Like the whole alien taking over the whole thing and turning into like a sci-fi, I don't know, it just made me feel
You could have killed him.
overwhelmed and kind of under
I know you're hurting, Pete.
under my expectations for what I was expecting. And maybe that's my fault. It probably is my fault. Having too high expectations or thinking that this game was going to be something that it wasn't. But yeah, the whole befriending the bad guys and always having to understand their reasoning. That, like, this guy was dying, so now he just wanted to like die by being killed by somebody who was better than him. But he was just like the greatest, so he could never find somebody that was better than him. And like, that's cool. That's relatable. Peter Parker in this game was not relatable, like, to me as a character. It's like, I'm looking, like, his aunt died, and that took a huge burden on him. And then him dividing his time between all the things that he wants to do in life. Like, yeah. But then, like, they just made him a crybaby. And it was like, okay, so where is, like, the superhero? And it's like, well, they're doing that with Miles. Miles is going to be, you know, the new Spider-Man now. It's like, that's cool too, but why couldn't they just be both? Like, why couldn't you have another Miles game and another Spider-Man game after this? Like, divide it back up again. So Spider-Man 2, like, that's just more money in your guys' pockets as developers to be able to continue having two phases and then coming back for that trilogy completion. So then you would at the end have one Miles Morales, one Spider-Man, a Spider-Man 2, then have a Spider-Man and a Miles Morales separately, and then come back for that Spider-Man 3. Like, that would almost double the amount of Spider-Man games that you could have at the end of like a trilogy. I personally think that this should end now and not, they should just reboot it at some point in the future. I know they like left it off to where Harry and Norman are going to be the Green Goblin and Hobgoblin, and then also Doc Ock was back, and then they alluded to Carnage also, because I did that side mission with that chick, Wraith, I think that was her name. She was pretty sick. I don't even remember her in the first game, which is weird. And then that little bit with like the Black Cat with Miles Morales, that scene was sick. That whole aspect was sick, where she met up with like Doctor Strange, or like stole an artifact from Doctor Strange's location in New York, and then she was like teleporting all through over it. Like, that was awesome. Like, I don't know, but I guess they felt the need to throw in her orientation also for some reason, which I guess, I don't know, because you don't see that person or you don't see them afterwards, so I feel like it was just kind of tossed in there, which it doesn't bother me any capacity. I just noticed it and it felt kind of like forced. But those side missions were really awesome. They were focused on the combat, focused on the traversal. Those probably could have been inserted into the main game, and then they could have taken out some of the stuff that I talked about multiple times earlier, where it was just like him riding a bicycle for like 5 minutes. I'm good on that stuff. I don't need a New York simulator. I would rather have more traversal and more fighting to keep it paced properly and paced well. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, I prefer Spider-Man 1. If they would go back and put
It's like some kind of hive mind in
the flipping abilities, the tricks in the first one,
And Harry.
like, I would prefer that one forever. Like, that overall, because that one doesn't have that stuff, and it's really nice to be able to kind of customize the way that you're floating around and flying around, and I think that that would set that one apart. But this game, it's all right. I probably won't play the third one, to be honest. Miles was a great character in this game, and I think that that's where they put their focus, and they were trying to make this game more about him and more ushering him in as Spider-Man moving forward, because clearly at the end of this one, Peter stopped being Spider-Man, but he could always come back, especially Doc Ock like knows his his identity as Peter Parker, and then he probably is going to tell Norman and Harry, so that I don't see him not being Spider-Man, but the fact that he doesn't want to be, and that he like broke down multiple times, just kind of made me frustrated in this game. But Miles Morales, his dynamic with his mother and his mom knowing, and then the fact that his dad died, and then him making peace with the bad guy, Mr. Negative, from the first one, was cool. It's just really interesting that some of these bad guys don't stay bad guys, and you have to like understand the whole reasoning behind why they do stuff. And it's like I just kind of want a bad guy that's just like a straight up bad guy for the sake of just being a bad guy. Like I don't really need to know his whole philosophy and view on and his logic and reasoning behind everything. But anyways, yeah, Spider-Man 2,
You okay?
good game.
Sound.
Some of the main missions felt like they should have been delegated to side missions, and some of the side missions probably should have been swapped in for the main missions just to keep the gameplay tight and keeping the combat and the traversal being the focus of the game. So yeah, if you stuck around this far, if you hung out this long, I really appreciate it. I know I repeated myself a few times, but I was just kind of going off the cuff here, trying to talk about what I really enjoyed about this game and what kind of bothered me. And putting this stuff into words makes me, it's like a form of therapy for me. So I really appreciate anybody who listens to this. I know I only have like 10 subscribers, but I really appreciate you guys for subscribing. And thank you so much for sticking around to the end. Thanks for tuning in.